I still remember the morning I first realized something had to change. It was a chilly day, and the moment my feet touched the floor, a bolt of pain shot through my knees. I was 72 then, living by the notion that morning aches were just part of getting older. As the pain pulsed with every step, I found myself replaying all the times I'd heard, "That's what happens with age." It felt as if the world was telling me to simply accept it. Yet deep down, I refused to believe that feeling stiff and fragile was the inevitable path for the rest of my life. Because here's the truth, it doesn't have to be. Pain, stiffness, and the frustration that comes with both are not unchangeable facts of aging. They are challenges that can often be eased, or sometimes completely overcome, by adopting specific habits first thing in the morning. Many seniors spend their later years fearing that today's nagging pain will become tomorrow's permanent limitation. It's that lingering concern about losing mobility, about needing help to do the little things like climbing stairs or cooking a meal. And that concern is valid. When our joints begin to ache, our entire sense of independence can feel like it's slipping away. Suddenly, the idea of meeting friends for a walk, traveling to see grandchildren, or even enjoying a quiet cup of coffee on the porch can feel daunting. Here's what most people don't realize. Ignoring those early warning signs can lead to a faster decline in mobility and a deeper sense of isolation. Because once pain becomes a regular visitor, fear grows. You start avoiding certain activities just in case, and that avoidance can lead to even more weakness over time. But there is good news. You're about to discover 7 morning habits specifically designed to help reduce joint pain and keep you moving freely well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. By the end of this discussion, you'll not only have a clear plan for tackling that morning stiffness, but you'll also understand how these habits can transform your entire day. Some of them might surprise you because they go against the usual advice seniors have been hearing for decades. In fact, the last habit we'll talk about, often overlooked by doctors and physical therapists, could very well be the secret ingredient that helps you regain the confidence and comfort you thought were lost. There's growing research that shows targeted morning routines can make a huge difference, and specialists who focus on aging populations are starting to embrace these strategies. What I'm about to share isn't just guesswork. It's backed by real-world experiences from seniors who've turned their lives around by making small changes before breakfast. I've spent years studying various health approaches, collecting stories from people in their 80s and 90s who still move with ease, and I can't wait to share these insights with you. Before we dive in, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already. That way you'll never miss any new videos that can help you stay active and fulfilled. Also, if you enjoy what you're about to learn, type 1 in the comments. If you feel this isn't for you, type 0 so I can know how to improve. Your feedback matters, and it helps me continue creating content that truly makes a difference. Now let's explore these 7 life-changing morning habits. Habit number 1 might sound odd. Start your morning with 5 minutes of gentle joint activation instead of jumping straight into your usual day. It's a simple statement, yet it challenges the notion that you have to dive into chores or errands the moment you get up. The common misconception here is that resting your joints as much as possible is the safest route, especially when you wake up feeling stiff. But think about it. A car that sits idle for too long has its parts gummed up with lack of use, right? The same goes for your joints. Take George, who is 76 years old and used to dread waking up. He would roll out of bed and shuffle to the kitchen, bracing himself on the counter to keep weight off his hips. He assumed giving his joints rest each morning was best. But one day his granddaughter challenged him to do simple, gentle movements right after getting up. Slow shoulder rolls, a few easy knee bends, and opening and closing his hands while breathing deeply. The surprising insight was that a bit of movement, even when feeling stiff, actually lubricates the joints and warms up the muscles. Within 3 weeks, George noticed his hips feeling looser. He still had some aches, but he felt a surge of confidence with each morning routine. For him, the practical advice was straightforward. Spend just 5 minutes, no more, doing gentle rotations of major joints: shoulders, elbows, wrists, hips, knees, and ankles. Keep the motion slow and controlled, coordinating them with calm, steady breathing. The emotional benefit? You begin your day feeling you have control over your body instead of the other way around. It's a burst of self-assurance that sets the tone for everything else. Now let's move on to the second habit. Replace that super hot morning shower with a brief interval of warm to cool water flow. This might fly in the face of what most seniors are told. People say, keep the water nice and hot to soothe aching joints. But that's not the whole story. The misconception is that only heat can ease stiffness. In reality, alternating temperatures can stimulate blood flow, reduce inflammation, and get stiff joints primed for movement. Consider Lydia, 74, who used to soak in a steaming bath every morning. It felt great at first, but she noticed her knees remained swollen throughout the day, almost as if the heat was causing more puffiness once she stepped out. An orthopedist suggested a contrast approach. After a warm shower, gradually reduce the water temperature for just 30 seconds, then switch back to warm briefly and repeat. Within a month, Lydia's swelling began to lessen. She was able to climb the stairs in her home with far less discomfort. The surprising truth is that cool water can reduce superficial inflammation, while warm water soothes deeper tissues. A practical step is to keep your shower comfortable, then dial down the temperature near the end. Just enough to feel the change, but not enough to make you shiver uncontrollably. Doing so promotes healthy circulation, like giving your joints a mini workout. The best part is the sense of vitality afterward. Many people describe feeling more awake, like their body's internal engine got a gentle boost. That can be a huge emotional lift, reminding you that small changes can spark big results. If you're still here and finding this helpful, drop a 2 in the comments so I know you've made it this far. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I suggest doing so. Each subscription and comment helps us reach more people who need this kind of support. The third habit is to enjoy a nourishing breakfast that focuses on an anti-inflammatory balance, rather than skipping meals or having only coffee. The bold claim is that the typical coffee and toast routine might actually be triggering more joint pain. Many folks believe that as long as they're eating less overall, they're helping their body. But the truth is that certain breakfast choices can aggravate inflammation. Peggy, who is 80, spent years eating only buttered toast and black coffee in the morning. She dealt with persistent swelling in her knuckles and assumed it was purely age-related arthritis. When she finally visited a nutrition-focused doctor, she learned that processed grains, sugary spreads, and caffeine on an empty stomach can spike inflammatory responses in some seniors. Peggy switched to a breakfast of oatmeal with blueberries, walnuts, and a sprinkling of cinnamon. Within about 6 weeks, she noticed a significant decrease in morning stiffness in her fingers. The surprising insight? An antioxidant-rich breakfast can calm the body's inflammatory signals, and adding a source of healthy fats, like nuts or seeds, offers the joints extra lubrication. As a practical step, choose foods that reduce inflammatory markers. Oats, berries, and a source of protein, like eggs or a small piece of salmon, if you can. The emotional benefit is feeling lighter and more mobile throughout the day, knowing you're fueling your body in a way that supports recovery rather than hindering it. And let's not underestimate how empowering it is to make a simple dietary change and directly feel the positive ripple effect in your hands, knees, or back. Up next is the fourth habit. Practice intentional hydration right after waking. Many people say, I drink water all day, but the misconception is thinking that sipping occasionally is enough. The body tends to be mildly dehydrated in the morning, and dehydration contributes to joint pain by preventing proper fluid movement within your cartilage. Let's look at Sam, age 77, who rarely drank water first thing in the morning. He'd wait until mid-morning or lunchtime to have a glass. He constantly felt tension in his lower back, blaming it on age. Then a friend suggested he keep a glass of water by his bed and drink it within 15 minutes of getting up. The surprising truth is that morning hydration can significantly improve circulation and lubricate joints, especially if you add a tiny pinch of salt or a squeeze of lemon to promote better fluid retention and electrolyte balance. Sam noticed that his lower back felt more supported and less stiff throughout the morning after a couple of weeks. The practical advice here is to make morning hydration a priority, about 8 to 10 ounces of water soon after your feet hit the floor. The emotional reward is a sense of refreshment and readiness to start the day. It's like waking up your body from the inside out, giving your joints a smoother ride for the hours ahead. If you've made it through these first 4 habits, please leave a 4 in the comments. I want to see how many of you are still with me, actively improving your routine. And remember to subscribe if you haven't. Your support enables me to continue sharing these valuable insights. The 5th habit, embrace mindful movement or gentle stretching right before breakfast, rather than waiting for later in the day when pain or fatigue can be worse. Here's the bold statement. Waiting until midday to stretch might be undermining your joints' ability to recover. Many seniors believe that because their joints are stiff, they should avoid movement until that stiffness magically goes away. The reality is that gentle morning movement can actually speed up the process of reducing stiffness and pain. Think of your body like a piece of clay. It's much easier to shape and mold when it's warm. If you wait too long, it remains rigid. Take Clara, who is 79 and has struggled with hip discomfort for years. She used to delay exercise until the afternoon, telling herself she needed to warm up. Yet she found that by the time afternoon rolled around, she was either too busy or too tired. So she never actually got around to it. A physical therapist suggested a brief 10-minute stretch session in the morning, focusing on hip openers, slow torso twists, and gentle hamstring stretches. The surprising insight was how quickly she started feeling improvement. Within a few weeks, she reported less tension in her hips throughout the entire day, not just the morning hours. The practical step is simple. Set aside 10 minutes after you wake up. Use slow, controlled stretches that focus on your tightest areas. If balance is a concern, stretch while seated or use a chair for support. The emotional payoff is huge. You gain a sense of achievement before breakfast, boosting your mood and making it more likely you'll continue taking care of your body as the day goes on. That sense of pride at having nurtured your joints early makes the entire day feel more hopeful. The 6th habit, harness the power of mental relaxation. This may sound surprising. People assume that joint pain is purely physical, but chronic stress can actually intensify inflammation and heighten pain perception. The misconception is that stress isn't really a factor in physical pain. In reality, elevated cortisol, the stress hormone, can worsen joint discomfort. Look at Tom, age 81, who consistently woke up anxious about the day's to-do list. He'd feel that tension in his shoulders, which eventually radiated to his elbows and wrists. A counselor recommended 5 minutes of deep breathing or simple meditation each morning. Tom was skeptical, but he decided to try it. Each day, he found a quiet spot, closed his eyes and breathed slowly in through his nose, out through his mouth, focusing on the sensation of air moving in and out. The surprising result was that after a few weeks, he felt calmer and his joint pain lessened. He wasn't changing his diet or medication. He was simply easing his body's stress response. A practical way to start is to sit comfortably, place your hands on your lap and count each slow breath. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Even 3 to 5 minutes can shift your nervous system into a more relaxed state. The emotional benefit is a feeling of overall well-being and control. It's like giving your joints permission to release tension, almost as if you're telling your body, we can handle this together. If you're still watching and eager to keep learning, go ahead and drop a 6 in the comments. It's always great to know how many of you are fully committed to improving your morning routine. Finally, the 7th habit. Give yourself a few minutes of deliberate posture alignment immediately after you get out of bed. This is where most seniors miss out. They figure that posture is something you think about only when you're sitting or standing for long periods. But consider the bold statement. The way you stand right after waking can set the stage for either healing or hurting your joints all day long. The misconception is that you have to work harder or straighten up in some aggressive way. That usually leads to overcompensation, which can stress your spine and hips. Instead, the surprising truth is that subtle, consistent posture checks can be more effective. Meet Bernice, who is 83. She spent most mornings slightly hunched over as she shuffled to make breakfast. Her shoulders were rounded, which put extra strain on her upper back and knees. A specialist suggested spending just 1 minute at the side of the bed, taking a few slow breaths, rolling her shoulders back, and imagining a string gently pulling her head upward from the top. Bernice practiced this every morning for a month. She reported that her shoulders and knees felt noticeably better by midday. The key was that she wasn't forcing her posture. She was simply resetting her alignment each morning. A practical way to do it is to stand up, shift your weight evenly on both feet, gently roll your shoulders up and back, and slightly tuck in your chin. Then take a deep breath, exhale, and hold a comfortable, upright stance for a few seconds. This small ritual can reduce strain on the joints throughout the day. The emotional benefit is the quiet confidence that comes from presenting yourself upright and open, rather than hunched and guarded. It's a simple, empowering act that reminds you you're actively supporting your body. Now that we've talked about all 7 habits, joint activation, warm to cool showers, anti-inflammatory breakfast, morning hydration, mindful stretching, mental relaxation, and posture alignment, take a moment to picture yourself a few weeks from now. Imagine waking up without dreading that first step onto the floor, or turning a doorknob without wincing from stiff fingers, or heading into the kitchen feeling genuinely excited to tackle the day. These transformations don't require expensive equipment or complicated regimens. They're simple shifts in your morning routine that cumulatively rebuild and protect your joints over time. Try not to wait until pain or stiffness gets worse to put these habits into practice. The longer you hesitate, the more ingrained joint problems can become. But the good news is that just 1 or 2 of these habits can already begin making a noticeable difference. What have you committed to all 7? Ask yourself this: which habit resonates the most with me right now? And how would I feel if that area of my life got even a little bit better? Maybe it's that soothing shower that balances warmth and coolness. Maybe it's the calming power of a short breathing exercise. Or maybe it's as simple as standing tall by the bed for a minute before starting your day. When you personalize these habits, they stop feeling like chores and start feeling like gifts you give to yourself. I'd love to hear which habit stood out to you the most. Share your thoughts in the comments and let me know how you plan to incorporate it into your life. If you feel any of these tips made a difference in your perspective, please like this video and share it with someone else who could benefit. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It's a great way to stay connected and keep yourself motivated to make positive changes. Your support and engagement mean the world to me. Reading your comments, seeing your likes, and hearing your success stories keeps me inspired to create more content that tackles the real challenges you face every day. So let's keep this momentum going. If you've been meaning to invite a friend or family member to join you on a path toward better health, now is the time. Sometimes having a partner makes it easier to stick to new habits, and you can compare notes along the way. Above all, remember that you hold tremendous power to shape your own well-being. Even if doctors and friends have implied that joint pain is just part of aging, you now know there are concrete steps you can take to fight back. Every morning is a fresh chance to nurture your joints, calm your mind, and set an optimistic tone for the hours ahead. Your body is listening to every choice you make, and by choosing to implement these 7 habits, you're telling yourself that life can still be vibrant, active, and fulfilling, regardless of the number of birthdays you've celebrated. Thank you for spending this time with me. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and until then, keep believing in your capacity to change. A future filled with easier movement and lighter steps is well within your reach. I'm cheering you on every step of the way.